Switzerland, famous for its cuckoo clocks, chocolate and cheese, is also home to the majestic Alps. The Matterhorn, the Schilthorn, the Eiger and the Jungfrau. A number of years ago, I visited Switzerland and we took the train from Interlaken up to Grindelwald, into the heart of the Alps. And from Grindelwald, we took the train right to the top of the Jungfrau, the top of Europe. The train for the latter part of the journey actually goes through the mountain. And on emerging from the station inside the mountain at the top of the Jungfrau, we walked onto a viewing platform. And to say that the view was breathtaking and outstanding was an understatement. It was an awesome and hugely memorable experience to stand literally at the top of the Jungfrau with not a sound to be heard and to admire the outstanding alpine scenery. It left a deep and lasting impression upon me. In our reflections this week, I want to take you to another mountain, to a mountain which held for Peter, James and John an experience which for them would be memorable. It was an experience which left a deep and lasting impression upon them. Let's read of that experience today from Matthew chapter 17. Let's read the word of God together. 6 days later, Jesus took Peter, James and John, the brother of James, up on a high mountain by themselves. While they watched, Jesus' appearance was changed. His face became as bright as the sun, and his clothes became white as light. Then Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good that we are here. If you want, I will put up 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While Peter was talking, a bright cloud covered them. A voice came from the cloud and said, "This is my son, whom I love, and I am very pleased with him. Listen to him." When his followers heard the voice, they were so frightened that they fell to the ground. But Jesus went to them and touched them and said, "Stand up, do not be afraid." When they looked up, they saw Jesus was now alone. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus commanded them not to tell anyone about what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. An experience which left a deep and lasting impression upon Peter and James and John. And in our spirits, we want to take a trip with Peter, James and John, but particularly with Peter in our reflections this week to the top of that mountain. And in our reflections today, we want to focus on somewhere Peter went. Somewhere Peter went. Many Bible commentators believe that it was on Mount Tabor that the Transfiguration took place. Mount Tabor, Mount Hermon, as it's perhaps better known, would have been snow-capped. And as they rested there, the disciples would have spent time beside the mountain springs, the source of the Jordan, or in the forest where the cedar beams had been obtained for Solomon's temple. It was a place, in other words, where Jesus and his disciples could retreat to. A secret and a sublime place where Jesus could appear in his glory. It was a very significant mountain. There was a significance in the place. That place where Peter went. And it was after 6 days. Matthew chapter 17 begins with the words, after 6 days. What had happened 6 days previous to Jesus taking Peter, James and John onto that mountain? Well, 6 days prior, there was a man, his name was Peter, who had said no to Jesus. You see, Jesus had said that he must go to Jerusalem, suffer and be killed. And Peter said, never. He wasn't actually saying, I'll never follow you, Jesus. But he was saying no in the sense that, actually, I want it my way rather than your way, Jesus. And it's possible for us, like Peter, as individuals and even as a company of God's people, to say to Jesus, no to that way, the Jesus way, and yes to our way. There was also confusion after 6 days. For Jesus had said, I must go to Jerusalem. And Peter had said, no. Peter had said, no. Well, after 6 days, Jesus takes Peter onto a mountain for an experience which would be another signpost moment, another turning point within his life. The place where Peter went, somewhere he went, was that somewhere where Jesus would have that encounter with Peter. And that somewhere place, that mountain that Peter went to, was where Peter would have that experience that he would never forget, that would leave a deep and lasting impression upon him. Join me tomorrow in Teaching Truth as we look at something Peter saw.